Yo, what's up guys, it's Suraj from TechDevoted and I've had the privilege to live with the Google Pixel XL in quite black for around 10 days now and I'm here to tell you what I feel about it. So right off the bat, I want to talk about how it looks and feels. The design of the Pixel is quite a controversial topic and a lot of people have said it is blatantly boring. To me, it's quite the opposite. I think the two-tone design on the back of the Pixel is very interesting. And if I'm not wrong, we haven't seen something like it on any other phone before this. And in my day-to-day life, I've had a lot of people have a look at the phone and say, hey, that phone looks gorgeous. And while we're on the topic, let's talk about the fingerprint sensor on the back. It, in my opinion, is just average. It is accurate for the most part. It gets my fingerprint right 9 out of 10 times. But in terms of speed, it's just not up there with some other phones. We have seen much faster ones at a lot cheaper. Well, speaking of the front, my thoughts on the bezel are basically like this. On day 1, I was like, holy shit, that chin is abnormally huge. And fast forward to day 8, and I'm like, hey, that's absolutely normal. Yes, I have hit the bottom of the phone several times hoping that there is a physical button that will take me back home. But over time, the point is, I've gotten used to it. I think most people will get used to it and it just doesn't seem like that big a deal anymore. The phone, just as expected, is built really well and it feels surprisingly lightweight despite the fairly big form factor, and I don't see it bending in my pocket anytime soon. It has all the standard buttons and ports including the 3.5mm jack. And by the way, the volume rocker on the right feels a tiny bit loose. Not sure if it's just my unit, but for the price that's totally not something I expect. We'll have to see how it'll hold up in the long run. If you have a Pixel XL, let me know how your volume rockers are in the comments down below. Turn on the phone and you will be greeted with 5.5 inches of Quad HD AMOLED goodness. The screen is very sharp, colors pop and you have deep blacks and it's just an overall stunning looking screen. And although I have apparently huge hands that allow me to reach all 4 corners of the XL with ease, typing with it hasn't been the most enjoyable of experiences. I have to use both my hands almost every time and I tend to make a lot of mistakes when typing. I did not have the choice to choose which Pixel I wanted, but given a choice I would go with the regular one simply because it's a much smaller form factor and you won't be compromising on a lot of things. Okay, so what's performance on the Pixel like? It's been blazing fast. You're getting a Snapdragon 821 chipset and 4GB of RAM and everything runs very smoothly. It can play any game you throw at it without breaking a sweat, and I haven't experienced any overheating issues either, but that is true for most phones today. So what more does the Pixel offer? Well, take a look at the camera. You're getting a 12.3 megapixel sensor with an aperture as wide as f/2.0 and each pixel is as big as 1.55 microns. Whilst it may not sound super impressive on paper, it's an amazing shooter, possibly the best on any phone. Photos that come out of it are crisp with great contrast and saturation, and pretty much everything is on point. The HDR Plus really helps at times and the camera does fairly well in low light too. There is little to no grain in the images taken in low light, and sometimes there's also this weird lens flare in the pictures. I believe it can be fixed with a software update, but the overall image is by no means unusable. But that's not it. You have something called the lens blur mode. Essentially it tries to click pictures with a blurred background or bokeh or whatever you wanna call it, and 6 out of 10 times it does an okay job. We have seen this feature for years now, but with the Pixel it's built right into the stock camera app. But my favorite thing about the Pixel's camera is the video stabilization. It's seriously amazing. What you're seeing at play here is an electronic image stabilizer that is tied to the gyroscope to stabilize videos, and although it crops out the image by a bit, for the most part it looks great. I get blown away by it every single time. Next, let's talk about Google Assistant. Google is marketing it as your own Google and it does help me sometimes in my day-to-day life. And the whole conversation thing that Google have been making a big deal about works well a lot of the times. But some other times it's just really dumb. Assistant by no means is perfect. In fact, it's lacking one really big feature, and that is the ability to change what you've said by tapping on the text. Voice assistants are not particularly good at recognizing Indian names, so it really would help if you could edit what you've said. For instance, consider this. Okay Google, give me directions to Pavitra Paradise. The assistant didn't quite get the name there, and in situations like this, I'd love to be able to edit what I've said by manually clicking on the text, but that is just not possible and I just don't know why. The feature has been on Siri for years. Maybe they can add it with a future update. I don't know, I'm being optimistic. Next, the battery. My usage mostly consists of checking social media, watching a lot of YouTube videos, shooting videos myself and taking notes. I don't do that many calls or play games, and with that sort of usage, I've been able to get 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time, which I think is pretty respectable. Standby times are decent too. I can leave the phone at 70% today and come back 24 hours later and it would still be at 62%. Charge times on the other hand aren't amazingly impressive. Yes, it is fast charging enabled, but it still takes close to 2 hours to charge it from 0 to 100% with the included cable and adapter. Before concluding, I'd like to say a few more things about the Pixel. This is Google's baby. What that means is this phone is gonna be on the top of their priority list. Other Android phones will update months after Google releases a new version of Android, but on the Pixel you update with Google. And Nougat on it, by the way, has been really good in my testing period. So far the Pixel XL is shaping up to be quite a good phone, but is it the perfect Android phone? Not quite, far from it in fact. It's lacking wireless charging, expandable storage. As a side note, there is unlimited cloud storage for photo and video, but there is no expandable storage. It's lacking water resistance, a removable battery, IR blaster, stereo speakers, and the speakers on the Pixel are just average, nothing out of the ordinary. Heck, it's even lacking VoLTE, so no Geo for those of you that live in India, but you can find a workaround to it. But to me, a lot of the drawbacks I just mentioned don't really matter because I've never really used phones with those features, so it doesn't really feel like I'm stepping down or anything. So the question is the Pixel XL worth 67,000 rupees? The answer to that question is very subjective. Forget flagships, even budget phones today perform really well, and when I am spending 67,000 rupees on a smartphone, I would expect it to do way more than just the usual stuff. And I'm happy to report that to a very large extent the Pixel is capable of doing that. It can replace my DSLR in a lot of scenarios, and I totally see myself shooting shots for tech videos with this, thanks to the video stabilization. I just cannot get over how amazing it is, and to me, for that feature alone, the price of the XL is worth it. That obviously wouldn't make sense to you if all you really do is social media and light gaming. A good budget phone will do that just fine, but if you're a power user and are really sure that you can make good use of the camera, then the Pixel XL is definitely worth giving a look. But that's how my life has been with the Pixel XL. In a nutshell, I've been able to get so much more work done in a lot lesser time, and honestly, I'm not super happy to be sending this back to Google, but huge thanks to them for sending it out for review. Before we wrap up, I want to thank Akhil from Techsome TV for taking time out of his day to help me out with the filming process. I'll link him in the description below, so definitely go show him some love. But that wraps it up for this one. If you liked what you saw, consider liking and subscribing. It's been Suraj. Thanks so much for watching, take it easy and stay devoted.